Jackie Robinson, the athlete, the man, the pioneer, the legend. This is the story of the most rare vintage Jackie Robinson baseball card in existence, a card that was never meant to be. Or was it? It's more rare than the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. It's more rare than the T206 Honus Wagner, more rare than the green PMG Michael Jordan. So for those of you who love rare cards, you'll want to pay attention to this. Like I said, this card was likely never meant to be, but in order to understand the art of this very mystical card, let's go back in time first. In 1945, during World War II, the United States and Japan were enemies. The cultures of the two countries were at great odds, and the people of both nations had little good to say about one another. The hatred between the US and Japan had become so great that death to the other seemed to be the only option, hence World War II.
Here at the Naval Air Station is grim and positive evidence of Jap treachery. Here foul blows were struck, while Jap diplomats were talking peace in Washington.
The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, and soon after, 2 atomic bombs being dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But it hadn't always been that way. In fact, American baseball had been rising in popularity in Japan since long before Babe Ruth did a barnstorming tour there in 1934. This is where the story of the most rare vintage Jackie Robinson baseball card in existence comes in. And it's actually pretty mind-blowing to think about. It's hands down Jackie's most rare card with only 4 copies known to exist. This card, as I mentioned, was never meant to be. It's an anomaly and possibly was pulled from production. But we're not there yet. Let's keep setting the stage. Most people think that Jackie Robinson played his last baseball game in a Brooklyn Dodgers jersey on American soil. Here's some amazing footage of his game-winning last hit in the US. Jackie would retire after the 1956 season, but what most fans don't know is that after the 56 season was over, the Brooklyn Dodgers went to Japan to play an extended series of baseball games. This tour was staged only 11 years after over 200,000 Japanese citizens had been killed by atom bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The tour was scheduled in hopes of uniting these two nations in the aftermath of World War II, and in many people's eyes, the tour did just that. Even in Japan, Robinson was more than just a baseball player. Prior to the trip, a governmental official told him, "Your own presence in Japan will make a contribution to international diplomacy, the value of which cannot be estimated." During the tour, Jackie met with officials and diplomats and even spoke about race relations in the United States at Tokyo's American School. "I hope," he told the audience, "people will look back at the success in baseball integration and realize that what can happen in baseball can happen anywhere." These games played in Japan were Jackie's last games played before retiring. Jackie's last hit in a Dodger uniform was a home run during the team's 1956 postseason tour of Japan. Jackie went out on top in both nations. Now, onto the card. The 1958 Menko Doyusha Jackie Robinson. The Japanese artist that designed this card for the 1958 Menko set had an amazing Andy Warhol style of artwork. Warhol would take an original photo, remove the background, and replace it with a hot pink or bright yellow or faded teal color. We know it as a pop art style of art. As the colors fade over time, it creates a piece of artwork that our modern technology simply can't reproduce. This card has a mystique about it that I haven't seen on any other Jackie Robinson card, and maybe it's because the card was never meant to be. The card was released in 1958, about a year and a half after Jackie retired. Similar to other cards that were pulled from production throughout history, this is an error card. In Japanese, on the front of the card, it says the name Roberto Chico Barbone, with his jersey number 8. On the back of the card, you'll also see the name of the team Barbone played for in Japan, the Braves. So why is Jackie's photo on the card, and who is Roberto Barbone? At the time, in 1958, there was only one black baseball player in Japanese professional baseball. You guessed it, Chico Barbone. In many ways, Barbone was a pioneer in his own right. He was the first Latino player to break into Japanese pro ball after being born in communist Cuba. If you take a look at the checklist from the 1958 Menko set, you see all Japanese names and Jackie Robinson. But the mystery remains, why did they use Jackie's photo on Barbone's card? We may never know. Was it an honest error by someone who worked at the company? Was it a slight to Barbone? Or was this a way someone at the company was trying to honor the legend of Jackie Robinson? Either way, this card is a true ghost in the sports card hobby. Prior to 2022, the last time one of the 4 existing Robinsons publicly sold was 17 years ago in 2006. But then at a random auction in 2022, the card in a PSA 1 shows up and goes under the radar for $28,800. Yet few collectors even knew about this card, nor did they know it was coming up for auction. It was known at the time that one other raw, ungraded copy was in existence. And it looks like a few short months after that PSA 1 came up for auction, the owner of the raw copy decided to have his graded and send it to auction. But again, few people knew this card was up for auction, and even fewer knew about its story or its significance. As far as research suggests, this card has only sold 3 times publicly since 1958, and never the same copy. The 1958 Menko set is filled with some very cool looking artwork on the cards. All Japanese baseball players who are mostly not significant to American collectors, but then there's the Jackie Robinson Roberto Chico Barbone era card. A true piece of history, a true ghost that you may never see in person in your lifetime. The most rare vintage Jackie Robinson baseball card known to exist.